sharply divided, even acrimonious to the end. Slightly more than half the Bancroft family approving severing what has been a century-long attachment to Dow Jones, a name that has become synonymous with business news, with prized properties like the Wall Street Journal, Barron's, MarketWatch, and the Dow Jones indexes themselves. Dow Jones stock had been getting clobbered of late, drifting further and further from that $60 offering price as prospects of an agreement began to dim. Today, rebounding on the all-but-done deal. News Corp shares, which were thought to really suffer with such a pricey offer, not suffering much at all since Mr. Murdoch first announced that bid. Reaction now from Frank Ahrens, business writer for The Washington Post, Jerry Bowyer, the chairman of Bowyer Media, and Ben Stein, who's written for the Wall Street Journal. Frank, what happened today?
Well, it looks like your boss is very close to getting a new tool in the toolbox. The Bancroft family, the votes have been rolling in. When I last checked, it was as high as 38%. So he may well end up with 2/3 of the family's support.
Indeed. It was thought earlier on, Ben Stein, that the family would grudgingly give up control and it would be close. You needed roughly half the family to do that. It's looking like it might be closer to 2/3. What are you to make of that?
Well, I make of the fact that it's about money. I mean, they've been watching the stock tank for years and years and years, and they're in a failing sector of the media business. I think they're very lucky to get such a huge price. I think the real question is what Mr. Murdoch is going to do to be able to make money on this. I think he's got a major challenge now to make that $5 billion make money for himself and the other News Corp stockholders.
You know, it's no accident, Jerry, that this has occurred when the markets have been in a free fall. We have a little bit of that going on today, some mortgage-related problems. If we can take a quick flip, guys, to the big board and show you what was about a 150-point hit in the Dow Jones Industrials. So obviously, Jerry, the appetite for big deals is not what it was, but Mr. Murdoch either ignored that or the Bancrofts came to a conclusion that it was good that he did. What?
Yeah, well, and I would note this isn't a big private equity deal. I mean, these are two publicly traded companies, and that's not where we seem to have the problem. Those aren't the sectors that are under assault. But it's hard to screen out what part is the noise of a very volatile general market now and what part is actually telling us about the deal. But the pattern does seem to be that when the deal seems like it's going forward, Dow Jones stock does very well. News Corp gets hit a little bit, but not real heavily. So when you try to read through all the noise, what I think is that the market's best guess is that this is a great offer for Dow Jones. They'd be crazy not to take it. But we're still kind of scratching our head figuring out, as Ben said, how Rupert Murdoch is going to make money at this price.
All right. Now, we're going to get into this a little bit more, the market folks, about deals and the appetite there. But we've been judging from what's been happening in the markets lately, Frank, that the appetite on the part of those with the wherewithal to make deals isn't what it was. So are we seeing out of Mr. Murdoch something we might not see in the future out of many others?
Well, one thing to remember about this deal is that compared to News Corp, Dow Jones is very, very small. News Corp is a $70 billion company. Dow Jones was about $3 billion and change before his offer inflated the value of the company up to about what it is now, near $5 billion. There's enough cash in News Corp that, in theory, if Mr. Murdoch wanted to, he could write a check for Dow Jones. And I think that's why you're not seeing such a huge hit to the Dow Jones stock. It's not like they're trying to acquire a $20 or $30 billion company or a company of equals.
News Corp stock.
The News Corp
stock.
Yes.
Dan, let me
Yes,
ask you, you've written for the Wall Street Journal. You've also written and continue to for the New York Times. They're really sort of the last great names in the media world.
Well, wait, there's the Washington Post.
Absolutely. I was going to say that. But your thoughts on concerns among journalists there that dark days are ahead?
Well, I was on the editorial board of the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal for 2 years. I've been a contributor to the Wall Street Journal for, God, it's hard to believe, but close to 35 years. They are wonderful people. Barron's are the absolutely best people in the world. But I've been working here for you guys, although you don't pay me, I might add, for many years, and nobody's ever told me what to say.
You get such great exposure from that, and you're always whining.
Well, I get mostly exposure. I mostly get exposure to you. And when you lose weight, I don't like that exposure.
Oh yeah, right.
But I can say nobody's ever told me what to say at Dow Jones. Nobody ever told me what to say at Barron's or the Wall Street Journal. Nobody's ever told me what to say here. I don't think they're going to have a problem with editorial independence at all.
All right, Jerry, let me get your sense of where this goes from here. Again, the board's meeting tonight. That's expected to be fairly perfunctory, but you never know. Then what?
Well, I think the deal is too hard to turn down for Dow Jones. Ben said at the beginning that this is about money. There was that initial kind of kabuki phase where it seemed to be about legacy and standing and, you know, preserving the integrity of the Wall Street Journal. But in the end, it was about money. They tried to shake down the News Corp for some extra money. News Corp didn't go for the deal. They realized that this is the best offer they're going to get. So I don't see any way Dow Jones pulls out. And I think Mr. Murdoch has made his intention clear. So I think we have a deal.
All right. I want to thank you all. Frank, my apologies to you. A mere oversight on my part. Thank you all very much.
Next time, Neil.
All right, next time. Well,